Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. Lions Victory Sunday. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I am Steve, and we are super excited to be here right after the game. The Lions' final score, 20-6 in Tampa Bay. You know, and that game ended right about 7:20, 7:15. So we've had some time here to just sort of process some information so we could get we're just trying to, I don't say we're trying to be first, but we're trying to be first to post about this victory.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. It was an amazing game. I didn't really expect, I know you did. You expected the defenses to play a much larger role than I did. I kind of expected it to be more of a shootout. I was expecting, you know, both quarterbacks to throw for over 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. I think they would have been a lot closer, but Baker Mayfield missed a couple throws, going deep on a couple of open receivers. But
thank goodness.
But yeah. But either way, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, that's a huge victory for the Lions. That's all that matters. And wow, what a game, though! What a game!
What a game! So, I kind of want to just talk about who we were picking for our players of the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I think I did pretty good.
You did pretty good. So, and I'm sitting here trying to remember. Did I pick Montgomery?
No. Didn't you pick Reynolds?
Who did I?
Or no, I think you picked Reynolds or something, didn't you? I thought.
No, I think I picked Montgomery. But either way, Montgomery unfortunately went down.
Yeah.
Got tackled, landed on the football, and I saw it when he got tackled. He had the big 300-pound guy tackling, landed on top of him and the football. Compressed a couple of ribs, and I was hoping it was just knocking the wind out of him when I first saw it, but you know, unfortunately he didn't come back and make it back. So that's our number one and number two guys down at the running back position.
Luckily was negative though, so hopefully he won't be out for, you know, more than just this one game.
Right. So we're hoping that yeah. And now. So there was that, but I think we should just be giving, and I know we said we shouldn't pick a quarterback, but Jared Goff, 353 yards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
On 30 completions.
Yeah.
So I you know, that's a pretty good day at the office. Specifically when you throw 2 touchdowns and no interceptions.
And
right?
even though we had 14 incompletions, a lot of those were kind of planned, you know, throwing it at the receiver's feet because nobody was open. Correct. And stuff like that, and the pressure was on. So he was way more accurate than even though you know, the stats show he was accurate, he was still even more accurate than what it shows.
Yeah, absolutely. He was smart with the football. Yep. Because just like I talked about, I really thought it was going to be a tight game. I was, with the defenses and how they're playing. And Tampa really came at Detroit hard.
Yeah.
Right? We still tried to run the ball because running the ball for us sets up our play action, right? So we were still trying to run the ball even though Villavea is in the middle just clogging it up.
Yep. Very disruptive. And he was today.
Absolutely.
But, I knew that the defense was going to be an issue, especially between Vita Vea and their linebackers. I mean, they're tough, they're quick, they fly around the football field, and they definitely showed it today. Especially against the run game. But I didn't know how Jared Goff was going to do without being able to run the play action effectively.
Right.
But hey, he played excellent. So that was great.
Yep. I think my biggest disappointment was, and it's hard to say that, was Sam Laporta. And why I say that only because he got targeted 11 times.
Mm-hmm.
And only had 4 catches.
Right.
And I'm not saying all of those balls were catchable, right? But they were playing the tight ends pretty tight.
They were.
Levante David, I mean, for Tampa, he's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's pretty much all you can say about that for that. I mean, just incredible. The guy was all over the place. I talked about Villa and how, Tampa Bay's but they stopped us, right? And it looked like it was just going to be a knockdown drag out from the very get-go.
Yeah.
It was 3-0, 3-0. And until we scored that touchdown. And that was late, in the second half. And it was
that touchdown was amazing, dude. Because, like, the touchdown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he catches the ball, and I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to get the first down. That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
He made a move. He kind of ran backwards, and I'm thinking, all right, well, he's trying to make something happen, but we're still not going to get the first down. Knowing how fast Tampa Bay's defense is, I thought for sure he's going to be tackled. And then out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, this streaking, just boom, Reynolds just creams that dude and sets Amon-Ra St. Brown free for a touchdown. That was amazing.
Because not only did he take out that one defender, the defender fell and took out a second defender, right? And it just freed St. Brown all the way down the sideline. Because when he caught the ball, when he first got it, I'm like, there's a slight chance that he could dive forward and make the right because of the spacing between him and the defenders and where he had to go for the first down. So I thought he could make it until he stopped and planted that left foot and came back 2 yards. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Right? But again, like you said, Reynolds came out of nowhere. Unfortunately, he got in front of St. Brown, so it wasn't a crackback block. So the defenders, he was facing them, right? Because I seen it and I'm like, oh no, right? Because I saw some horrendous calls today.
Yeah,
horrendous. Not just the Lions game, but overall across the NFL, saw some ridiculous calls.
Yep.
And I mean, the NFL needs to have a talk with the referees, or there's got to be talk about some calls about roughing the passer or head. To me, people are flying around.
That call against the Niners was one of the worst calls that I
worst calls ever.
Game-changing call. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I'm not even a Niners fan.
No. Right? And the guy's up in there trying to block a pass, and he comes down. Even Dean Blandino, I think it was Dean Blandino, right?
Yeah.
It was either way. The channel's referee guy comes on and says that was a bad call. He says that looked like a clean hit to me. It was not anything egregious. Some of the hits to the head and neck on that other call, I mean, it was just bad all around. The refs this year, horrible.
That's part of the reason why. I mean, we're kind of going on a little tangent here, but it's part of the reason why the NFL needs full-time refs, right? And that's all they do all year round is they work on they work on their craft, right?
Correct.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And,
And
they
to
make
me,
enough
there's
money.
got to
They
be.
could afford full-time refs.
Yeah. I mean, you put them in a virtual reality where they're, in position watching a game and trying to make a call, like to perfect what they're doing, to see what they're looking at, right? You can't just come out on a Sunday and be, I'm ready to go. I stretched for 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
You just can't. But, so, anyway, we did get on a tangent. So, the Lions, overall, defense was effective, right? I mean, it held Tampa Bay to 6 points, made some really big stops. Jack Fox had a crucial punt right there at the end of the game, right? Put him down way deep. Was it inside the 5, right?
I think it was at the 5.
Or right at the 5.
No, it was at the 2. I'm sorry, it was at the 2.
Hey, so I'm ridiculous, right? So, like on all phases of the game, while it was slow to start, right? This was almost the Lions' best game as far as playing for 4 quarters.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of had to be, because Tampa Bay, while everyone's going to Tom Brady's not there, blah, 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 whatever, right? Tampa Bay is not a bad team. Defensively, you saw it. They're really good. Offensively,
they just missed. That's it. Like, the timing is off a little bit. Some of the receivers weren't playing all year. The timing's not quite there yet. But if they could have hit a couple of those deep balls, it'd have been a totally different game.
Oh, absolutely. So it just, Tampa Bay is not a bad team. And we went out there and hit them in the mouth on their field, right? And and played Lions football.
Yeah.
We've done what we continue to do. What we've done in the past, even though we didn't rush for anything today. You know, right?
No, that was bad.
I mean, look,
like the rushing game was not there. We had Craig Reynolds had 15 yards, Montgomery had 14 yards, Ozigbo had 5, Goff had 3, and Khalif Raymond had 3. Right?
Yeah. 41 total yards.
Yeah.
41, right? Is that what you got?
I would have said less. 29, 34, 37, 40. I got 40.
40 yards.
Yeah.
Right? 40 yards rushing. Not what that's not the game that we play. Right? But they still did it, right? I mean, look at the number of rushes.
I was just going to say that 22 times.
Yeah. Right? So we weren't as balanced. Yeah. Not as balanced as we have been in the past, for our first 5 games. But, we went with what worked, especially after Montgomery went down. Right?
Well,
and the fact that they were able to adjust to that, it made a difference.
So, going back to what you said at the beginning of the show, you were mentioning talk about some of the players that we predicted as far as like being players of the game, and you mentioned Goff, right? Because we try to make it more difficult. We don't pick the quarterback because the quarterback, almost always is going to have a good game if you're going to win. But so the 2 guys I had picked, one was Alex Anzalone, and he had the most tackles. I did say he was probably going to get double-digit tackles, and he did not get double-digit tackles. He ended up, 7 and 2 assists. So, but still, he led the team. And then in offense, I went back with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he had 12 for 124 and a touchdown. And the amount of first downs the guy caught, that's why, we've nicknamed him Amon-Ra First Down. Because, the amount of first down this guy, was able to get for us was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Aiden Hutchinson didn't have a great game, but you know, he did what he could. Jack Campbell had a pretty good game. 3 tackles and 4 assists, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to give out some love to Tracy Walker.
Especially towards the end of the game there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Will Harris had an interception. So the secondary guys, you know, were able to do what they... I felt like our front 7 still did a lot of work, even though maybe the numbers might not show it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But our front 7 did enough that really helps our secondary. And as long as our front 7 can continue to do that, that'll help our back end.
Yep. So, kind of a change of topic here, brother, because you're mentioning the front 7, and I read something, and I kind of want to get your take on it. Maybe you already read it, so maybe you already have a thought on it. I don't know. But there was a lot of discussion that are coming up all over social media sites. But one of the things that was brought up as a possibility was the Lions trading for Max Crosby from the Raiders. You know, having to give up a first-round draft pick, you know, possibly an up-and-coming, like, young player. And I think they specifically mentioned, oh, my goodness. Well, the one guy, he's hurt now, but he had, like, 6 sacks last year as a rookie. But I don't know why. But anyways.
The defensive lineman, right?
Yeah. Defensive lineman, yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm just drawing a blank right now, but...
Yep.
The now, would you do that? Would you give a first round? Because like that would probably make your defensive line like the best in the NFL, right? Max Crosby's a beast.
Yeah. He definitely, and he had another good game today, right? And he's only 26.
He's only 26.
Right.
Yep.
So Max Crosby. If I had to choose between, if you gave me an option between Max Crosby and the Commanders guy, Chase Young,
yeah,
I'm gonna go after Max Crosby. If you put Max Crosby on one side and Aiden Hutchinson on the other,
yep,
with the way our defensive tackles and our linebackers are playing, oh my God, right?
Yep.
It just. Like, that would be an incredible front 4.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Look, Max Crosby had 4 tackles, 3 assists, a half a sack, a pass defended. Right? Mm-hmm. And that was right up there with I mean, I know who they were playing because they were playing New England. New England's not great. Okay? But that's just kind of his numbers like every game. Right?
Yep.
So, yeah. To me, if that's a trade, and who's that Lions guy? Because I know, because his first, you're talking about, I think we're talking about the same guy. The guy, first 8 games didn't do a whole lot, and the last 8 games, that's when he came on. Right?
Yeah. Yep. But
anyway, if I had to give him up and a first-round pick to get Max Crosby,
James Houston.
Thank you. I don't even know if I think twice about it. I think that'd be yes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we've been able to keep our guys fresh. I think our depth is good, so we can rotate people around, right? But if you get that would be dangerous.
Agreed. And I mean, and really, if you bring on someone of his caliber, anyways, you know, you have to get rid of someone on the defensive line, and it's got to be a defensive end, you know, because you don't have that many roster spots. So, like, if you can bring someone in, you got to get rid of someone anyway. So, are you really losing anything and getting rid of someone like James Houston? You know, granted,
Right.
he has a lot of potential and stuff like that, but we know what we're getting in Max Crosby. Like, he's a proven commodity. And
And
I don't know.
I think Max Crosby fits our culture.
I think
Right?
so too. The
He's a
hard
tough,
worker,
hard
relentless.
worker. So I just, Mr. Holmes, if you're listening, make that
Oh,
deal.
we know he is, right? Because who wouldn't be listening to us? Of course he's listening.
Absolutely. You know, we should just start emailing him our link. Send it to the Lions every time we do a show.
Like, yeah, we know you need our advice because we're the experts,
Right?
here. That's what we
You
do.
know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we would love to see a Max Crosby on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Chase Young too. He's not having a bad year now that he's coming back from and he's staying healthy. The difference is that he's had some injury stuff, and I'd rather go with a Max Crosby.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Me too.
But yeah, it was a great win, a tough win, right?
Yeah.
You know, and in years past, these would have been those games where we would have got punched in the mouth, right? And we might not have been able to recover. You know, our best running back went down. And while we didn't have a great rushing plan, we still tried to run the ball, and we had guys out there who could do it, right? The receivers, obviously he had 300. Goff had 353 yards, so we know where you're throwing it around a lot.
Oh, but okay. Sorry, quick time out here. You're talking about the receivers. We gotta give props here for a second, right? I mean, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown did amazing, but Jamison Williams, he came up huge in the clutch. The dude is so fast. Like, Goff completely underthrew him because Williams had his man. He was beat bad, and he had to readjust, come back, and he made a great catch. You know, and that should have been as difficult as what it was because Goff underthrew him. You know, but that was an amazing catch for a touchdown.
So now he's got, 2 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns? I think he's got more than 2 catches, but that's kind of his highlights right there. 2 catches, 85 yards, 90 yards.
I think he's got 6 total, with 3
receptions.
touchdowns. Or, I think it's 3 total touchdowns, doesn't he? Does he have one rushing or something?
Because I don't remember. No, last year I know he had the big one, right? He had the 1 reception for 42 yards, 45 yards, kind of like today's.
Right.
But, congratulations to him. I know that's a big boost to his ego. I think if the offense can figure out how to use him more, because you said it early in the game, you sent me the message. They need to take the top off the defense because they were playing so close.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I think Laporta struggled as much as he did. He got targeted as many times as he did, but he didn't have that many catches because everybody was inside his window.
Yeah.
Right? And Goff really didn't have a lot of time to make those longer throws. So
Correct.
We got one. It worked. If we could see it more often, especially early in a game, so that, as you start dropping back, the linebackers fall off a little bit and the safeties can play a little deeper, So we're not trying to go against an 8-man box or 9-man box, right?
Right. Yep.
It opens up the run. It still opens up the play action, especially if you take the deep ball off the play action. Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But like I said, super excited just because I felt like the lines were clicking on. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
That was my. I can't say her name or she's gonna kick on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah. So but anyway, they hit it on all levels. I still think Tampa Bay kept us on our toes as far as what they were doing offensively. And just some of the things that we gave up deep, I'm a little worried about next week.
Well, look, this is I don't disagree with you. Baltimore's going to be a tough game, but this is something I also messaged you earlier today too. We know that our secondary is a little beat up, and what Tampa Bay was doing a lot was they were spreading out on defense. They were doing 5 wide receiver sets, 3 to one side, 2 to the other, and when a lot of times when the Lions run 4 wide receivers or more, they're all kind of like bunched in together. They don't really have them, spread out towards the sidelines and stuff like that. They're kind of more bunched.
Right.
But the Tampa Bay, they had them all spread out, and with our secondary not being as healthy, I mean, we had like Will Harris and Kirby Joseph and others, covering like some of their speed guys and allow those throws. So, and that's a mismatch. That's all there is to it. It's just a mismatch. So that's, I think, why they got so open in a couple of those plays, because they schemed properly versus our defense. It's just that they missed on the execution. Part of it, too, was it just a miss. And I got to give credit to the defense, because a lot of times it was the pressure, too. The pressure got to him before he could make the, good throw. But I think the way they planned, I think their game plan was solid. It's just that we were able to prevent them from executing. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, we held their running game to under 50 yards.
Yeah. And of course, next game, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, combined with, it's going to be, it's all going to be a whole different type of game. But it's going to be another tough one. So,
But, I mean, defensive, like total defense or total yards for Tampa, 260 between passing and rushing. I mean, the Lions really just, like I said, they played well at all 3 levels. And I think they played 4 quarters of football. It wasn't completely clean football, but this is the best game I've seen them play every quarter.
Well, I mean, when you hold an opponent at home, not just to 6 points, but 2 for 12 on third down efficiency, and you completely dominate the time of possession, I don't know, like that's by itself. That's amazing, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, 251 yards. Lions defense absolutely had a great game. The game plan and defense, you gotta give props there. The game plan was great. And I don't know what else to really say, right? Like, it was just an overall, like, a great team game, like you were saying. Like, they played great as a team. They didn't score 40 points or anything on offense, but again, Tampa Bay is a good team. Solid defense.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to put up that many points against Tampa Bay. I mean, putting up 20 was difficult.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is, we scored every quarter.
Right. Yep.
Right? We put points up every quarter, and our third quarter is kind of where we've been. It was hard for us, it's kind of some weird transition for the Lions. And they only gave up 3 points.
And scored 7.
So those are wins. I think the Lions are built to do that. And I think today that we saw a team that can take what you're giving them, doesn't have to score a lot of points to win a game, and hold the other team down.
The one area of need, honestly, is a little better field goal kicker. I mean, I'm okay with Riley Patterson, within 45 yards or less. I think he's great 45 yards or less. Anytime it gets more than beyond the whole 45, especially beyond 50, I have zero confidence that he's able to kick it. And I do believe that's why, in the first couple of games, Campbell went for it because he just doesn't trust our kicker. You know, I mean, and and we saw it today. He missed a 52-yard field goal. He had enough leg on it, but it was wide right. If we had one area of weakness, again, weakness, not opportunity to improve, but just straight up weakness, it has to be a field goal kicker because he's not even able to kick it in the end zone. Every kickoff he has, they're fielding it at the 2-yard line.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed throughout the entire NFL day today was the lack of a running game. We only had 2 running backs today get over 100 yards. So defenses, at least today, were able to stop the run for the most part, right? There was no...
All right.
But yeah. And, and then I was looking at passing stats, right? As far as passing stats today.
Mm-hmm.
There were, six quarterbacks this week threw over 300 yards.
All right.
Most of those in a losing effort. And I think that's to be expected. Because they're usually playing from behind, so they throw the ball more, right?
Right.
But, 15 to 22, all those winning quarterbacks all threw less than 200 yards. But they got the job done. The way I was looking at the stat, it just seemed a little lopsided when you looked at the rushing compared to other weeks.
All right. One thing that I was kind of noticing was the lower completion percentages from a lot of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's something I was noticing earlier.
I did see that too.
But yeah, dude, man, what else? Some of the plays the Lions had that was smart. I want to go back to Craig Reynolds for a second. All right. Because we talked about his block that he had that sprung Amon-Ra St. Brown, but something that nobody seemed to have been talking about, and I thought it was a very smart play on his that he did, was right towards the fourth quarter, towards the end, they're trying to run out the clock, and all they're trying to do is just eat up clock, and that's when they started, way back at their own whatever it was, 5-yard line or whatever, and they're chewing up clock. He gets the ball down by the right sideline. And he's running towards the right sideline, but, instead of running out of bounds, he kind of turns it up and then dives, and then instead of running out of bounds, I just kept the clock going, right? It would have been very, very easy just to run out of bounds and whatever. But, his momentum was carrying him that way anyways. But he was able to kind of stop, dive forward. And that whole dive was just to stay in bounds, because his momentum was going to carry him that way unless he kind of dove. And anyways, he made a couple smart plays in this game, even though he didn't really have great rushing numbers. But between the block and that little diving play to the sideline to kind of keep the clock running, two very smart plays.
Yeah, absolutely it was. I like those heads up plays, And I think that's the thing about this team too, is that they're all team players, right?
Yes.
The glory comes from the win, not from individual numbers.
The we, not me, right?
That's correct. So, very excited for the Lions. First time since, I think they said 2011, that they've started 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're setting all kinds of records, scoring records.
Yeah.
20 points or more, 6 straight games. This year. But then, of course, it goes back towards last year too.
Yep.
And as far as a record goes, since going back into like last season, best it's been since who knows, whatever it was. Like, this team's a good team, and if the defense keeps playing look, the defense has been incredible. And if the defense keeps playing like that, and it's exactly what you're saying, it kind of begins with the front seven. As long as the front seven continues, producing and playing well. Alex Anzalone was actually really effective in pass coverage today too. He got picked on a little bit, but he played well. And and as long as we see the front seven continue playing at a high level, and we continue to see some of our younger players make strides, because Laporta kind of Laporta's going to be a beast. He is a beast. But he had some mistakes today. Him and Goff had some miscommunication. He wasn't finishing the route. He kind of stopped in the one pass. It was almost picked off. He had a couple drops today. It just seemed like his concentration was a little lacking at times. If we see Jack Campbell, that guy has all the potential in the world. But again, sometimes I think he over pursues and is out of position a little bit. But today he was a lot better, and I've seen a lot of improvement in him today over previous weeks. And then again, hopefully we get Brian Branch back, and that guy continues, improving, because this team is so young, and it relies a lot on these young players. And we can even mention Jamo. We'd love to see him continue to improve week over week and just get better. And he's going to find a much bigger role in this offense, because look, that dude is fast. I don't know if I can say that enough and stress just how fast this guy is. He can like run by anybody.
Yeah. My fantasy football team would really appreciate Jamo getting more involved.
Yeah. But overall, man, we saw San Francisco, we saw Philadelphia. They didn't have their best games, right? They
had some big injuries. San Francisco had some big injuries. I mean, the Eagles did too. Lane Johnson went down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And Hurts ended up throwing 3 picks, should have been 4, but
yeah. So talk about I want to give the Jets credit, right? The Jets had a great defense. And today they proved they had a really good defense, because they needed their defense today to win that game.
Yeah, they did.
Right? So Zach Wilson did enough. It was that Wilson to Wilson connection today. But so congratulations to the Jets for pulling that game out and just sticking with what. Look, defense does win championships, right? Defense wins championships. So I felt like the Eagles over here in the first 5 games they were playing not subpar ball, but they were doing enough to win games, and today it just didn't work out for them.
Right.
As for the Niners, the Christian McCaffrey injury, Deebo Samuel went down early, and he was out on the sideline in civilian clothes. I mean, so those are huge components to the San Francisco 49ers game, and you actually saw that, because, I mean, the Browns aren't on defense. If you look at the people they have on their defense, the Browns are not that bad, right? Mm-hmm. Defensively.
Right. Yep.
And you could see Brock Purdy was not comfortable. And you said this about the completion percentages with today, but it was across the league where quarterbacks and receivers were not on the same page, right? I mean, and it was a lot today, but doesn't matter because the Lions won.
That's all that matters.
The Lions are now The Lions are now tied for the best record in the NFL.
Yep. That's an amazing thought, isn't it?
That's something. Yes, I'm putting that out there right now. I wanted everyone to hear that. The Lions are tied for the best record in the NFL as we speak.
Yep.
So, that's my final word.
Okay. I guess all I can say is, we're going to enjoy it, right? I mean, it was a fantastic game, fantastic win. Lions kind of, this was a test. And, at away in Tampa Bay and played so well. They're going to be tested again next week against the Ravens in Baltimore. We got the Raiders after that, the Chargers. This does not get any easier for the Lions. And and what I love about Dan Campbell, and I got to give credit to the 'cause I didn't think about this. I heard it from another podcast, but I thought it was a really good point. The fact that Dan Campbell is doing what he's doing as far as with these injured players. He's rested them, making sure they stay healthy, and they just have this next man up mentality. Like, hey, you're injured, you got a bad ankle, we don't want to push you, we don't want to risk it. Let's go ahead and sit you, get you healthy, and next man up. That's all there is to it. Like, they got to man up, they got to play well. But what that does, though, is that further attracts free agents. Because not only does Dan Campbell now have this reputation of being a motivator and being a player's coach, and the Lions are now getting a reputation as being winners. And I gotta knock on wood for that, because that's scary to think about. But at the same time, these players are like, hey, if I get injured, I'm not gonna be guilted into playing or whatever, right? Because that can risk their career, risk their earning potential. You heard people like RG3, complain. That's kind of what happened to him, amongst other players. But I'm just making a point. RG3, and here it is. Dan Campbell is like, no, guess what? We actually care about you. We want you to stay healthy. We don't want to chance it. You're gonna sit, and then when you do get healthy, that's when you're gonna go play. And that is going to attract other players to the Lions on top of everything else that we just talked about. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, again, a little bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was a very good point.
Yep, and was that the thing I sent you?
I don't know what
the clip I sent you, or the article, because that's exactly what he said. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown had said, look, he probably could have played last week. And the coaching staff sat it down, he says, look, I hate doing this to you. He says, but we're playing the long game.
Yeah.
And I want you available at week 18.
Right.
Playoff game. Right? So we're going to sit you, make sure you're healthy and you're rested so that when you come out, and he has 125 receiving yards today.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So thanks for making the tough decisions, Coach, because that can't be easy to watch one of your best players sitting on the bench, even though you know he could probably go. So that's a tough decision, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Coach.
And he had the most catches in a single game than he's had in his entire career. 12 catches.
Yep, 12 catches.
Yeah. But anyways, I didn't think about what you sent me, but yeah, they do kind of coincide. Absolutely.
Yep.
So.
Yep. But
that was all I had left to say, I guess.
So that's it. The Lions are 5-1. Heading to Baltimore. And the thing is, like, Coach Campbell, I think, said it. He says they're not overlooking anybody. He says they're only looking to the next week, the next game.
Yep.
Right? So they're gonna enjoy this today. They're gonna enjoy it on Monday. Tuesday, they'll start coming back in. Wednesday for practice, they're preparing for Baltimore. That's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. We'll be watching those injury reports, hoping some of our guys come back.
And we'll be doing a pregame on the Ravens as well. So, watch for that later on in the week. But overall, we do appreciate you listening and all the new subscribers we've gotten. Thank you for that. Appreciate the new subscribers. And and we'll talk to you the next time.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.